actually with my singing teacher, and when I started out with my singing teacher, it's not that I never sang before, but I was just quite inexperienced in singing, we can say. So I've learned so much from Lucy, so I hope everyone else can learn something from her today as well. I've tried to ask her questions about all different stages of her training and of her graduate life, professional auditions, so I hope there's something that everyone can take away from this. And I know, from my opinion anyway, I think there's a lot of useful advice and insights about all things musical theatre in this video, so I hope you enjoy. So today I'm joined by my singing teacher, Lucy.
Hello!
It's weird, isn't it, to have someone who I actually know and see every week, because my usual guests I don't speak to as often.
Yeah, and I forget that we've never actually met in real life because we've spoken to each other every single week for over a year, basically.
We have.
Yeah.
I've sang to you probably more than I've sang to
people that you know in actual life.
But I'm excited to ask you the questions that I don't usually get to ask you, because I don't usually interrogate you about your
Usually it's the other way around.
Yeah. So first I want to ask you about your coaching, and also it kind of links to your training as well, because I was wondering, like, you've now completed a foundation course at GSA, and also you did a whole degree at Erdang, and now you've coached a lot of people, you've made a lot of videos about drama school auditions. So how's your thought process about the auditions changed from that?
It's actually quite interesting because I feel like everything's kind of connected from my foundation course. So when I was doing my foundation, I was constantly Googling like drama school auditions, information on audition for here, and there just kind of wasn't anything out there that was actually that useful, I found. And like constantly the videos I was searching for didn't exist. And I was like, this is really annoying. So then it was the summer between my foundation and I'd got into Erdang, I knew I was going to Erdang, and I finally started my channel because I kind of wanted to make those videos that I'd been looking for that didn't exist. So it just kind of started as that, and then it obviously went from there. And as I did my training, I obviously could first and foremost speak about my audition experience, and then as I continued my training, I could kind of do more things like about song choices and monologue choices, because the more I did, the more I learned. And then obviously did my 3 years, and then when I graduated, I thought, well, maybe we can take this a step further, because people seem to be enjoying the knowledge that I was sharing on my channel and stuff. And obviously kind of doing one-to-one was then the next logical step in my mind. So I kind of started it as a little summer project, and then it kind of escalated more than I thought it would, which has been amazing, obviously. And I think like about how my thought process has changed for auditions is, I feel like when I auditioned, I was so uptight and so like, I'm quite a stressy person in general life. Like I'm not cool, calm and collected and relaxed. That's just not me. As you know. And like when I was doing my auditions, I was so like, I must get into this school and I must do this and I must do that. And I think I try to impart the complete opposite of that. Like when I do my coaching and in my videos, that you will end up where you're meant to go. And you can, yes, 100% planning and preparation is key, but you can't plan everything, and you kind of just have to trust. I always say that, like, we always talk about like trust in what you've done before, because you can't control every second of an actual audition.
And then has it taught you about your own ability as well? Like,
in terms of coaching?
Yeah, have you gone into a lesson and been like, oh, I realised something else about like my acting or my singing through teaching?
I think, yeah, I would actually say it has, because I feel like you can only properly understand something when you can explain it to someone else. I think that's like a thing in almost every kind of realm of life. And especially when it's come to like Shakespeare, for example, I always found working on Shakespeare really daunting. And then I remember people were asking for classes in it, and I was thinking, oh no, like, there's a lot of people who are a lot more qualified when it comes to talking about Shakespeare. But then I actually found like, one, I knew a lot more than I thought I did, and two, that a lot of people felt the same way as me, and I think it was nice to have someone that was relatable and not just giving out all the like Shakespeare jargon. So, and it made me feel way more confident in what I knew, which I think has been really nice. Like, yeah, definitely. I think that's the main thing that I've kind of got out of it. And obviously it's meant that I've been singing and acting kind of most days, which is really nice as
Yeah.
well. So obviously the more you do something, the more it kind of keeps it up.
I think that's good as well, because what's good about you as a teacher is that you're not like a random 80-year-old man.
Yeah.
You're more in the same position as other people.
Yeah.
And I think people can gain more from that.
Yeah, and I always try to not preach that I'm like some expert, and I just give the knowledge that I have that are in the tips and tricks that I find useful, because 100% some teachers are amazing and know so much about like the anatomy of the voice and that side of it, but personally for me that's not something I've ever found useful. I've always found it more useful, like we speak about a lot about what things feel like,
Yeah.
and talking like do something and then think, okay, that went well, so what did we actually do to make it go well and replicate it, rather than doing the kind of sciencey side of it. Same with Shakespeare, for example, rather than the like actual literature Shakespeare jargon side, we just kind of go with what feels right, because that's what I've always found most useful.
I also want to ask you about your training. This is a big question because you did 4
Okay.
years at drama
Yeah.
school. But what are like the big lessons that you've taken
Oh
away
my
that you
gosh.
like use
Okay,
nowadays?
let me think before I answer this one. The biggest thing that I've taken away. Okay, number one is that you cannot please everyone.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the where I learned this lesson was when it came to song choices. There were song choices that I'd choose, and obviously that's a big section of my coaching is like repertoire suggestions. There were songs that I would choose that some teachers would love and others would hate, and then I'd be like, oh well, I can't sing that then. But actually, you're never going to find a song that everyone likes, because it's totally personal, right? Arts is subjective. So yeah, not, and then that obviously applies to everything. Not having to please everyone, because it's not possible and it's just a mission that you're going to fail at. That's definitely something that I've learned. Um, it definitely improved my confidence, and I feel it was a combination of doing YouTube as well. Um, in terms of like just being me, and that's okay. And I think that's like such a big lesson that everyone, I'm not saying I never have days where I don't feel confident in myself, but it's just a lot more like I'm just me, and if you don't like it, that's all right. Like it doesn't matter. Um, and then in terms of my actual like technical training, it's hard because like you learn so much, as you said, in
Yeah.
4 years. Um, but I think not putting myself in a box. I think that was something that I did quite badly when I was on foundation. I was like, I want to go to GSA. I am a GSA girl. And like teachers would tell me, oh my gosh, you're so GSA. And then when I didn't get in, I thought life was over. And then I went to Erdang and I became an Erdang girl because I was at Erdang. And yeah, I think just not putting yourself in a box, and in terms of what drama school you want to go to, and also not putting yourself in a box in terms of like what jobs you want to go for and what auditions you want to go for, and also like what career you want to go down. You might do performing and then decide, actually, I found this and I prefer this more. Yeah, so I'd say, yeah, not putting myself in a box is really a big one.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you actually a bit
Yes,
about that. Like, I've got a question pre-planned related to that
go
because
for
there are 3 different elements of musical theatre. You can tell I'm not a musical theatre.
it. Yes, you are.
Not really. There's the
You're like
dance.
acting with a side portion of musical theatre.
Yeah, yeah, we'll say that. So there's the dance and there's the acting and the singing, and people have the different balances of each, and that's kind of what the Erdang track system is
Yeah.
for. So how do you balance your training, and once you've graduated as well, how much do you focus on what you want to improve on or
Yeah.
what you want to do in the future? Like, how do you balance all 3?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And there are very few people that you get that are equal in all 3. Like, I am definitely singing and acting on my strongest, and my dance is weaker. I know
Yeah.
that. But that's why actually I think when you're picking a drama school, like if anyone watching this is looking at drama schools, it you kind of tend to lean towards a school that specializes in your strength. But actually, if you take a step back and think about it, surely you should actually go to a school that specializes in your weakness because it's going to push that, right? So obviously, I'm just going to take GSA and Erdang as examples because that's where I've been. GSA obviously has great all-round training, but is more known for singing and acting. Erdang has great all-round training, but is more known for dance. So I thought, oh, well, I'm a singer-actor, so I would like to go to GSA. But actually, in hindsight, going somewhere like Erdang, where especially in first year, there's a massive focus on dance, and even on the singer-actor track, you're getting more dance than you would somewhere like GSA, in the long run was actually better for me. So I think that's a kind of like a thought process that a lot of us should flip around and actually look at going somewhere that is better in your weakness because it's going to help you improve it. In terms of keeping up training, it's hard when you graduate. It's super hard. And you hear these people that are like, yeah, I go to 25 dance classes a week and 8 singing lessons. Well, like, one, people have to work and
Yeah.
make money, so you can't always go to classes. And two, they're expensive. Like, especially singing lessons are super expensive. So I mean, like, I used to try and go to a dance class every week, but it just kind of became unrealistic in terms of like travel and work, etc. And in all honesty, I don't love going to open dance classes. I feel like people don't say that, but I don't. I find it quite scary. I find it quite intimidating. And I know if I went regularly, I would find it less intimidating, but that's like a little battle in my own brain that I need to deal
Yeah.
with. But I know a lot of my friends feel the same. It's nothing to do with like the teachers or anyone there. It's just I just find it a bit scary. So I kind of focus more on keeping up my fitness instead of going to dance classes specifically. So like for me, going to like Pilates or going for a run or like going to a workout class, like I much prefer that. And I feel like in the long run, it keeps my fitness up, and that's the main thing. And then I usually go to a singing lesson kind of once a month just to
Yeah.
kind of touch in. But I'm constantly like singing around my flat and singing on karaoke tracks on YouTube and like singing when I'm coaching you guys. So I feel like that kind of keeps my finger on the pulse. But yeah, it's a lot of pressure to like keep up the same level of training when you
Yeah.
graduate, and it's just not realistic. Like you can't do it.
It is hard, isn't it? Because you don't have that structure and you can
Yeah,
be very
100%.
lost. Do you have any
100%.
tips for people who are graduating? Anything that you'd like to pass on?
Yeah, I would say make a structure for your week, but don't beat yourself up if you don't stick to it, and your structure will change. So when I first graduated, I was living somewhere different. I was in different jobs. I was doing different things. So like my structure for graduate life a year ago versus now is completely different. So don't get stuck in one routine and think, well, this is my graduate life routine and that's it. Because it's going to evolve and change as you like find out what you're like as a graduate. Like everyone's completely different. And also I would say don't be afraid to change your mind, like about anything, about jobs, even about like your career, about what you want to specialize in, about if you want to audition for cruises or if you only want to stay in the UK. Like people change their mind, and I think that's something that's okay.
Yeah.
And how are we meant to know when we graduate, like what I want to do? You don't. Like you're allowed to change your mind. And I think, yeah, allowing yourself to change is super key. Me a year ago versus me now are completely different.
Yeah. I think that's good. And with auditioning for things once
Yeah.
you've graduated, how do you decide on which songs you want to bring? I really want to hear as well about these controversial song choices you mentioned earlier.
I can't even think like off the top of my head what they were because there was
You know,
so many across 4 years. Like every song I sang, someone didn't like,
someone's
right?
got a problem with.
100% because everyone's got different
Yeah.
tastes. And like there'll be some songs that like people sing in my coaching sessions that personally I don't like the song, but I can look at it objectively and be like,
Yeah.
is it good for them? Do you know what I mean?
We tell them like, I don't like your song.
Oh, no, because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if I like the song or not. That's what I think that annoys
Yeah.
me is when people put their personal opinions on it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. I could sing a song and you could listen to it and think, oh, she sings that well, but I don't like that song. That's fine. You're allowed to not like the song, but I think it's important to be able to look at it objectively and be like, but is it serving a purpose and is it serving them
Yeah.
well? Yes or no? That's what matters, not your personal opinion on a song. You know, it's not a pop song in the charts.
Yeah. How much though is it about your own voice and how much is it about the song and what it's for when you're picking a song?
In terms of for an audition, you will find very quickly when you're auditioning, when you graduate, that you use the same song over and over and over again. So, I mean, I don't even mind sharing it. My song is Fly Into the Future from Vanities. I've sung that for almost every audition I've done and just sung it in different accents, sung it in different ways. Obviously, if it's a legit show, right, you're not going to sing that.
Yeah.
But it, like, you will find that song that you can just like use for everything, because the last thing someone wants to do is get the audition in and be like, okay, right, the audition's in 2 days and I've got 2 full days of work between now and then and I have to learn a new song. Like, that's not feasible. And actually, like you were saying before, is it more about the song or is it more about your voice? It's way more about your voice and your acting and what you bring to the table than the actual song choice. Obviously, if they've asked you to sing a legit song and you bring contemporary, right, then that's an issue. But it's rarely very specific. It'll be like, bring a song in the style of the show. So like if I was to do like Fly Into the Future, I've done it in an English accent, I've done it in an American accent, I've done it as like a bitchy teen, I've done it as like a naive girl. Like you find songs that you can like do in so many ways and will just serve you well rather than stressing yourself out learning a zillion different songs.
How many songs do you actually have
in my rep?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got like 2 massive folders of stuff that I could pull out and brush the cobwebs off and learn. But I'd say in terms of go-to, like I have 1 pop, 1 contemporary and 1 legit. Because I've just found that they're the ones that I've used regularly and they work. So 100%, like when I was training, I was exploring so many different songs. Like some people would sing the same song for weeks on end. And I would do it and then be like, cool. Like, you know how we'll do songs in the lesson and be like, cool, it's at a great place. Let's put it in our pocket, keep it for later.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. That's what I was doing. I was just like building up loads of options. So then when I graduated, I had loads of options and then I've just kind of whittled it back down to the ones that work.
That's good, because then I guess it saves a lot of time as well.
Yeah, like, and I had the time in drama school to build up the rep. And I wasn't like, I didn't need to worry about finding the perfect song. Like we've done loads of contemporary musical theatre, for example. Like you might have 5 or 6 contemporary songs, but then actually for me now, I actually only use 1. But I've been able to make that choice in an informed way rather than just doing it because it's the only one I know, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you have any tips for dance as well? Because you said that you're not like, it's scary, isn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. But then I always have to tell myself, and I think this is something that actually I've found really, really good, is 1, dance feels scary because you do it in front of other people, right? Because you do it all together. But think how scary it is for people that are dancers who have to sing a solo on the regular basis. Like if you asked me to do a dance solo for an audition, I would want to die on the spot.
Yeah.
But dancers are expected to do that all the time. So I think remember that if you're a singer, for example, you don't see everyone else sing, but you see everyone else dance. So that might be why it makes you feel intimidated. But remember that all those people that are incredible at dancing, they might be epic at singing, but they also might not be. So don't like think, oh, I'm the worst here because your strengths are in other places. I'd say also don't let your brain, this is so easy to say and not easy to do, and I need to take my own advice as well, but don't let your brain take over. Like just take it literally 1 step at a time. Like if you're worried about, oh my god, I'm gonna have to learn a whole routine, oh my gosh, we're only 10 seconds in and I can't remember it, just slow down and just do literally 1 step at a time, and it will be so much easier. And have like, I always try and have like, I say this about songs as well, like kind of flag post moments that I can
Yeah.
remember. So like, okay, if I get to here, then I've completed what in my head is section 1, and then I can move my brain on to section 2. I just find if you break things down in life, it's so much easier than like thinking of a whole routine. Think of it in like 6 sections, for example.
I think that's so good because it is quite intimidating because so many people
Yeah,
have started really young as well, and then
yeah, 100%.
hard
And
to.
I think, yeah, it's just not, yeah, breaking everything down in life just makes it easier. If you need to climb a mountain, break it down, do a little bit at a time.
Do you have any other advice you'd like to share about the industry, about graduating, about anything?
Um, I would say don't look at what everyone else is doing. Um, Again, easier said than done, but life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. I mean, literally what a cliche phrase that actually makes me feel a bit ill. But it's it doesn't matter if Sarah, who you were best mates with at college, is now in a West End show and you're working in a pub, because that's not what you're meant to be doing. Like it will all work out how it's meant to. Like I've been so guilty in the past of doing that. But then actually you take a step back and you realize like you're on what's right for you. As long as you're working hard, you're getting up every day, you're hustling, you feel like you're trying your best, but also some days you won't be able to. Some days you just need to lie on the sofa and watch TV. Um, you'll get where you need to go. It's not, yeah, it's not a race. Like you'll get and you'll find your rhythm and what you want to do, if that makes sense.
That's some good advice. And finally, do you have anything you want to promote, anywhere people can find you?
Oh, yeah, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram and occasionally on YouTube. She's a bit sporadic on the old YouTube at the moment, but you can give me a follow over there. I am going to try and start doing some more vlogs, but I just need to find what my new niche is, because my niche was drama school and I'm not at drama school anymore. So I've been feeling a little bit lost. So also, if you watch my YouTube videos, please comment down below with what you want to see, because I just don't know what to make videos on. Um, and yeah, that's the main things. And yeah, thank you for having me, Lottie. It was so fun.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and thank you to Lucy for taking the time to do this. If anyone has any questions, any experiences they want to share, anything they want to say, then please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you've got to say. And also please subscribe, because I do have more interviews coming up and would really appreciate the support. And thank you for the support that everyone's shown on the interviews so far. My interview before this hasn't come out yet, so if that one's flopped, then that's a bit sad really. But I'm sure it'll be fine. Thank you so much to everyone for watching, and I will see you hopefully in the next interview. Thank you, bye!